This November was a tough one. I didn't do much reading, and no, it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm watching 10 or so episodes of Naruto every evening. No, 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 no. I didn't have much time, and I also picked up some challenging books to test myself and my language abilities. Or maybe I was not selective enough. We may never know. But despite that, it was still fun to discover new stories as always. Hello everyone, I'm Masha and you're my channel where we read books, buy books, discuss books, look at books and speak highly incorrect English. Welcome! So this month I read 3 books and they were all very different, which perfectly reflects my state of mind, like usual state of mind, trying as much as possible different things and never stick to something one. Yeah, love it! The first book was Summer Songs by Mandelo. I picked it up following the spooky season, and in short, this book felt like what would happen if Supernatural and Fast and Furious had a child. And I thought I would like it more than I did in reality. And if you want a longer version, my opinion of the book, just stay with me. So, in the beginning of this story, this guy, Andrew, who received the devastating news about the death of his very close friend, Eddie, they were really close. They were closer than brothers, and I would say even obsessively closer than brothers. Now Andrew has inherited everything Eddie owned, and he was very rich. And he heads to the university where Eddie studied, determined to solve the mystery of his death. And to do so, Andrew tries to recreate the final days of Eddie, but instead of trying to be objective, he fixates on the idea that his death has something related to the group of guys who like racing and hard partying, the guys with Eddie had been hanging out to. But Andrew ignores all the obvious to people with a little bit of brain signs pointing somewhere else. Like Eddie had been obviously doing his research and not only partying. But I see it, yeah, Andrew, yeah. The car racing guys are more interesting. They drink a lot, they're often high, they like car racing. Naturally, Andrew also ignores his professor and his supervisors. Dude, weren't you officially here to study? Please stop being so irresponsible and at least try to pretend and stop wasting other people's time. Even though you can care less about this research, but please. But I just have to confess here, I hated Andrew very much. I really try to not base my opinion of the book based on how I like the characters or not, because I just feel it's unfair to the book, to the author, because we need books with all the variety of characters, even the unlikable ones. But here it was very hard. Like the book has 2 more or less likable characters. They are minor ones, they are not Andrew. That's the main problem for me. And I couldn't say that the characters are bad written. No, they are very well written with all their personalities and their flaws. My issue wasn't with how they were written, but more with I just did not enjoy their thoughts, their actions, their obsessions, and basically everything about them. And another struggle for me as a non-native English speaker was the book's choice of vocabulary, which is kind of too different for what is my vocabulary for them. And I'm not sure what is the cause of it, why is this? Is it in some regional thing for the author, or it was intentional choice because of the university setting? But if it's the latter, I can see the problem here, because There is nothing, literally zero relation between Andrew and studying, as I said already. Let's be honest. At some point of the story, there was like incoming plot twist. You don't need a degree to understand that this is coming, but all the other guys from that fancy college did not anticipate it. And here I see the discrepancy. Or I just was picked off a little by the fact that I need to put in more effort that I was meant to at the beginning. Especially when I did not engage with the book too much. Because let's be honest, if we really enjoy the book, we can pretend, even unintentionally, that there are not so many issues, minor or even not minor, but if not, poor book. And honestly, the book is supposed to be horror, but in fact, it's not. Yes, sometimes Andrew trips out and feels and sees some scary presences, but it happens not too often, and the overall tone of the book is more melodramatic than sinister. I wish it had focused more on the gothic and horror elements instead of drinks and car racing. On the bright side, yes, there is a bright side. The book does a very good job on exploring grief and loss, especially in very codependent relationships. And there's also a very good and smooth transition between the reality and supernatural. You'll be reading a normal scene and boom, suddenly you don't even realize how, but you are two paragraphs into a hallucination and you haven't even realized it. That smooth transition perfectly suited the overall tone of the book, which is good, which is great. And also enjoyed all that hot and humid atmosphere of the southern summer. And the picture was very vivid in my head. In the end, I gave Summer Songs 3 stars. I see why others people can love this book, but unfortunately it just didn't click with me. Just after I finished my struggle with the language of summer songs, I couldn't come up with a better idea than to read classics. And the read did I picked up Orlando by Virginia Woolf, and it was my first Woolf book, and I think it was a great introduction. This book doesn't have a conventional plot. This is written in the form of like parody biography, where Woolf make fun of biographers, claiming that know for sure the thoughts and reasons for decisions that the person did even after all those centuries, and it was very fun to read actually. Woolf plays with style here and there. The parts of the story where the character has experienced a lot of events are shrinked into like one paragraph or one page, and instead the moments of solitude are expanded into the full chapters, creating the very nice flow of that so famous stream of consciousness. And therefore sometimes it's quite complicated to read, but you know what, I really enjoyed it. I felt so blessed to be able to understand that, to be able to enjoy her sentence construction. The book dives in also into gender differences, because somewhere halfway through the book Orlando changes sex, and I think that was mostly done because at the time Woolf could not spoke or write so freely about homosexuality unless the book is magical enough, and this tradition looks kind of magical. However, this topic was quite important for Woolf her health, as she had relationships with women, especially with her colleague, if I'm not mistaken, named Rita Shakespeare West, who is, by the way, was an inspiration for the main character of this book, Orlando. Thus, after becoming a woman, Orlando sees that the pleasures of life were taken from her, like she is not able to own a property, or she lost her social or physical mobility, she cannot go anywhere without husband, or a public judgment, like a boy sleeping around was totally acceptable, but the girl doing the same thing is scandalous, or a man writing is a one thing, or a woman writing is another thing. Like, as long as she thinks of a man, nobody objects to woman thinking. And as long as she writes little notes, nobody objects to a woman writing either. A harsh reality that Woolf had to face herself. So the book is great. It reflects on many things like society norms, gender differences, writing and its importance in people's life, and all the historical changes. But I gave it 4 stars because even though I insanely loved it, especially in the beginning, somewhere throughout the story, I think it's at the point where Orlando changes the sex. The book loses its dynamic and engagement. At least it's a little bit lost me at that point, and I'm not sure why it happened, because of the gender change, or because she started to describe the things differently a little bit, or because of the described time change. The story encompasses around 300 years, so the style of writing reflects all these changes in society and history. And I'm not gonna blame any of this here, because I think from the Woolf's part everything was done perfectly. It was just I was not engaged enough at some point. And but overall the book is great. I kindly recommend it. And the last book I've read is Where the Forest Meets the Stars by glendy, vanderah. This book is from my TBR, and I've read it. Well done, actually. And this book was such a huge relief after all those challenges for my language ability, because I understood it perfectly. It was so easy to read for me. But don't think I will gonna give it 5 stars just because of it. I'm trying to be objective here, more or less. So the book is about a young woman named Joanna who are coping with the grief and loss and her trauma, because she is a breast cancer survivor. She just recently lost her mother, and to help herself somehow, she came back to school to continue her studying. She becomes a workaholic. She spent her days alone studying birds somewhere in the middle of the woods. And just in order to find the mental and physical abilities to continue her life. But who could know, who could predict that she receives help from the very weird little girl who one day just shows up at the Joanna's rental property. And all the appearance of this girl says that she's been through some shit recently. She's barefoot, she's dirty, she is covered in bruises. And instead of telling what happened so Joanna could help her, this girl crafts the very mysterious story about being an alien and going to this planet to witness 5 miracles and so on, or not crafts, who knows. Jo asks for help from the young and handsome neighbor named Gabe, And together they share a concern about this strange girl called herself Ursa Major. And after the time, during this time, they develop some relationships, some feelings to each other. The story is very predictable, but in a good sense. So, like you hear the plot set up, and you immediately understand. Okay, this book is about this and about that and about that, and it is. And in this case, it's a strength because I hoped to read some light and cozy and fascinating book, and I received just what I wanted. At the same time, books touches on a very various serious topics like struggling with serious illnesses, loss of the loved one, family relationships, the child abuse, and also sometimes tell very interesting stories about books and their behavior. And honestly, I couldn't care less about birds, but it still was so fascinating to read. I was not bored, and at the same time, the book is not were dramatic because of this range of topics. It has a lot of funny moments, and also it's very concentrated on a romance line between the Gabe and Joe. Overall, I like the book and I gave it 4 stars. Why 4, you might ask? Well, the ending was a little bit rushed to me, and there was that unexpected turn that seemed a little bit out of place. Well, at the end of the day, it was not far-fetched, but still, in the pace of the book, it was very strange to to see this thing. But I still don't know what to think about this turn. And overall, I didn't feel that excitement, very huge excitement, or very deep connection with characters, or the locations, or a writing style, or something else, which is usually a sign of 5-star book. So I still very like the book, and I can highly recommend it to if you are in search of something cozy and light and kind to read. A fun observation I've just noticed. In terms of romance, the first book was about boys. If you don't know, if I didn't say it, I think I didn't say it, but it was about boys. The second book about girls, it was not described as much because of obvious reasons, but it was really implied. And the third book was about a straight couple. So I'm quite open-minded, and I just remember about a fan fiction I once read with a very weird pairing. The guy from the main story and the plastic bag. Ew. Let's not talk about this. So that was it. That was all the books I read in November. Then tell me please in the comments if you read any of these and what you thought, or if you plan to pick them up maybe. Thank you very much for watching till the end. I really appreciate it. Good luck, happy reading, and see you next time.